if you literally talk to a client and get that question, you go, oh, all right, this is content. So after the call, take 2 minutes, record a video, and just regurgitate what you just said. Talk about what you're doing when creating content. That's the easiest way. Document versus create. So document versus create is something that Gary Vee came up with. He has lots of stuff on it. I'm not going to do the whole spiel here, but this is essentially a regurgitation of document versus create. As an example, I can't really do Magento content the way I could when starting Mage Talk. So I got a question about this the other day and it made me think about it. Really, the best things to do content on are the things that you're actually working with / thinking about day to day. You know, for example, somebody asked me like, hey, why don't you do some content on like things that would be beginner topics for Magento developers, people getting into Magento. And the truth is that I think that would be useful content. Like I think a lot of the stuff Max Bronco does is excellent and he's killing it with his YouTube content and things like how do I do a theme? All of these types of things that if you're a new Magento developer, you need to learn. And so on the one hand, I know that would be very useful content for my audience. On the other hand, I'm not working with Magento day to day anymore. I'm not coding Magento. I haven't done Magento dev work for probably 3+ years. So I could try to do that just because I know it would be useful content, but like it would take so much work and it probably wouldn't even be that good because I'm not working with the day to day. Whereas as an example, when we started Mage Talk 4 years ago, something like that, me and Philip were both doing Magento dev day to day. We were in Stack Overflow all day long, asking questions, answering questions. We were coding, 8 hours a day for our day jobs. It was basically trivial to start that podcast and to just talk about extensions that we're using, extensions that we're playing with, pros and cons of different extensions, which is all very useful to Magento developers. And I think that's what made the podcast work. Of course, now that we're both essentially not really Magento developers anymore, the podcast has kind of shifted into the things that we talk about. So it is what it is. But I really think that's what made that successful. That and the fact that, Philip is a podcasting phenom. But I think that's a big part of what made that successful is just talk about what you're doing. So if you are an accountant that's working with clients day to day and getting asked questions, like literally, and of course you want to make sure there's no privacy concerns, obviously, with things you're talking about. But, if somebody asks you a question about how does auditing work? How do I know if I'm going to get audited, right? Talk about that question, in the abstract, right? How does somebody know they're going to get audited? What to expect? Da, 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 da. If you literally talk to a client and get that question, you go, oh, all right, this is content. So after the call, take 2 minutes, record a video, and just regurgitate what you just said. 2-minute video, 3-minute, 5-minute video, and do that 100, 200, 300, 400 times. All of a sudden you have a huge library of really useful content. So that's the whole document versus create idea. Again, Gary Vee has great stuff on that. You should dive into that further, but that is my specific take on it.